This video is to talk about my repairs to my sunroof motor. On a 944/2, the sunroof motor sits on the driver's side rear of the carpet. You have to remove the clips. I particularly happen to like these. These are very reusable. They happen to work for a Honda. They're from a Honda Civic fender liner. You pull the clips out there from the carpet, pull back, and you have your motor. Problem with our cars is these early ones, like mine. Mine is a prior to February of '86. There's a track and then there's a motor, and the grease dries up, and then you have problems. You have your micro switches down on one end, and then the motor and the gearbox up here. Now the problem I had is that my sunroof stopped working. I had my grease dried out, and in the process of taking it out the first time, I did this. This is the actual block that attaches the motor gearbox right there. It's a spare one to the track right there. This actually slides into the track and is normally riveted together. But because this, and if you look, that's cracked. It's cracked because the first time I did it, I didn't know that you had to take those rivets out. Those rivets are right there behind the relays. You can just see one right there. And I snapped it. So in the process over the years, it just got worse and worse, and the sunroof wouldn't come out. So I decided to rebuild it. Rebuilding it, what I did was I unriveted that, pulled the track off. You got to unscrew it from the back end down here. Take off the brackets. There's some bolts right there that are kind of, you can just see through the vent there, and they come down through the metal. And then you disconnect your wires, and you can take the whole mechanism out. And then you have your gearbox, your plastic, and your track. So you clean the track, and you take the gear, which is on this side, because actually it sits like this. This sits like this. Kind of slides, the block slides down on it like that. Okay, and these gears dry up with grease, and then they don't work real good. This is supposed to be able to be turned, and it barely is. This is an older one. So, and the other thing is, over the years, taking them on and off, these blocks crack, and you can see where someone's tried to repair this one. So that's kind of what I did. Was I took it all apart. You can take apart the gearbox, and there's a slipper clutch in there. That's the whole other story. This little bugger right here that I'm unscrewing. The slipper clutch tension is adjusted by adjusting that nut right there. From the factory it's adjusted, and there is a spec, and I'm not sure what it is. But if you play with it a little bit and slide that further down here, you get more tension. What they tell you to do is you find where it grabs real good, where you go to open your roof and it doesn't grind, and then you put it in, and then you screw it in, you tighten that thing down. I think it's a 7mm, and then when you get it in where it's tight with a socket where it should be, use some Loctite on the nut, and then it stays in place, and you're all good. And then to put it all back together after you've greased, cleaned the track, done the whole thing, first you put the bracket for the gearbox and the motor's in. Leave the track off. Yes, you're going to have to unplug the motor and disconnect your wires, but you undo that. And at this point, since you will have drilled out the rivets before you took it out of the car the first time, all you have to do is disconnect the bolts. You know, you'll have your bolts disconnected, slide the track onto the plastics in such a way so that you don't, sorry for making everybody sick, break this. It'll slide on from the back side, and then you rivet it in. Once it's all back together, you test it before you put your carpet all back, and you're good. I can be reached for questions at sstrickstein@yahoo.com.